back to Music Talk. I'm John, doing an episode today from the car, trying to multitask while I talk to you guys about some music. Today we're going to continue talking about the albums that I received from my brother-in-law in a box. It's been an interesting find so far. And today I want to start with today's featured album. This is one that I love. This is Neil Young, Hitchhiker. And this was released in 2017, but the actual recording is from 1978. Neil, I guess he put some of the songs together. Some of the songs on here were used later, but these recordings are all original to the album. I love this album. I think it fits right in there with, if you're a fan of Harvest or After the Gold Rush, that this fits in perfect with that. You'll recognize some of the songs. I believe two of the songs on the album are original to this album. They haven't been heard before until this release. And it actually fits in between On a Beach and Comes a Time, if you keep your albums like I do, by artist in order by year of release. I wouldn't put this under 2017 because I try to capture the year that the recording occurred so that I can kind of just get an idea what the artist was up to during that time frame. So that's what I do. So today, a couple artists that I'd never heard of before, had a hard time finding anything about that were in the box. This first one is Kenny Rankin, and the album is called Inside. This guy was a friend of friends with George Carlin, and actually opened for George Carlin a couple times. This album, Inside, came out in 1975. It's considered jazz, pop, vocal, and to me it sounds like easy listening. And so, I listened to it, gave it a shot, but it's just nothing I'm interested in at this time. Somebody obviously liked the album, or the artist, because they bought the album. So I'll take it down to the record shop, see if my friend Pat down there, Kingfish Records, has heard of this guy, or if anybody's been looking for him, anything, and see if he's interested in it. Other than that, it will probably just end up down at the old thrift store. And who knows, maybe somebody's going to come on and go, I remember this guy. So we'll see how that goes. The next person I have here is Emmett Rhodes. It's a self-titled album, and it came out in 1970. And here's Emmett. This is considered a power pop album, and it was recorded in his home studio. So I don't know if this is his home that looks like it's been burned down. Hopefully that's not the house. He had a single off of the album called Fresh as a Daisy. It reached number 54. The song Lullaby, that is also on here, was featured in the film The Royal Tenenbaums. So you might be familiar with Emmett and not even know it. The third one here, this is Leon Russell, self-titled. I'm not sure if this was exactly his first album, but it is Leon Russell's self-titled album. It came out in 1970. This album, the genre on there is considered American country, blues, rock. If you've heard Leon Russell before, he has that, to me, the gospel sound. He's very soulful, but he can cross over a little bit too and mix genres, which is nice. So great voice, distinct voice. When you hear Leon Russell come on, you know who it is. A song off of this album is one that I love. It's called A Song for You. And I first heard of A Song for You off the Ray Charles album in the 80s. They came out, actually 93, called My World was the album. And Ray just kills it. I love his version. Leon's version is great too. It's just a nice song, a love song, but it's great melody. So I definitely recommend that. I did like this album, so this probably will end up in the collection. The next one here is Leon again, but I guess somewhere in between he got married. And so this is Leon and Mary Russell. It came out in 1976, and it's considered funk soul, maybe mild funk. I don't know what they consider funk, but definitely soulful. She has a great voice. It's an upbeat album, great vocals on both parts. The harmonies are nice. it's a nice collaboration between the two. And his wife, Mary McCreary, was part of Little Sister, and they were a part of a trio. Little Sister was a part of a trio that backed up Sly and the Family Stone. I believe they had their own record at some point. I looked into it a little bit, but not too much more than Sly. So she definitely has great vocals on there. It's a nice album. It's like a husband and wife came together and put an album together. Nothing really stuck out for me. But I'll definitely see if there's an interest. Some people are big Leon Russell fans. The only problem that might happen here is I can't sell to the record store. There's no way I would even take it in there because it's been water damaged. So there's a big rip off the back of it, so that kind of stinks. The album's in good shape, so I might just find somebody who likes it. I hate throwing away an album. I will never do it. I'll take it to the thrift store and just close my eyes and pretend like nothing's happening, and hopefully somebody will pick it up. I can't throw away vinyl. It's very hard for me unless the record's like already cracked and broken, useless, or too scratched. Then I go, gee, will it look good on a wall somewhere or something? Can I do something with this vinyl? Because I just don't want to throw it out. But that's just the way it goes. So we'll see what happens with that album. The next one here is from a guy called Joe Sample. I'd never heard of him before. Looked him up. He was a jazz guy, but he was smooth jazz. This album came out in 1978, and it was just a little too smooth for me as far as jazz. Joe here he's a keyboardist, or was. I believe he's passed away, and it was just, like I said, too smooth. I don't like smooth jazz where it's just sounds like you're on a cruise ship somewhere. I don't like that. I like that collaboration, the spontaneity. I can definitely, now that I've been listening to jazz a little bit more, I can tell the difference between that trade-off and that spontaneity and something unplanned. Every once in a while I can catch that, where this one's very planned, very organized and orchestrated. I'm sure somebody enjoyed it, but too smooth for me. Good musician. I wouldn't put anybody down. He made an album, he did his thing, and somebody obviously liked his album. He had several albums, so people did like him. So if you're interested in smooth jazz, check out Joe Sample. The next one here is the Sandpipers, and this is called Softly. This album came out in 1968, and this is probably, here's the Sandpipers right here. Those guys. It's probably just the most easy listening album I've had out of the bunch. I believe the Sandpipers were a trio. They were considered pop rock. To me, it's big time, easy listening, could fit right in there with the Carpenters if you're into that. Great vocals, but obviously they're not close to Karen Carpenter, but it's just easy listening, mellow music, nothing that's going to get you excited. That's this album right here. They did cover a couple songs on here. Find a Reason to Believe by Rod Stewart. That classic doesn't come close to his version, his style, Rod Stewart's version of the song. Jennifer Juniper by Donovan was on there. All My Lovin' by the Beatles, they slowed it way down, which normally I don't have a problem with. If you take a song that's upbeat and make it a ballad, sometimes you come up with a gem. This just I wanted to take a nap. So no offense, Sandpipers, just a little too mellow for me. And they also covered Suzanne by Leonard Cohen on this album. And it's hard to touch Leonard Cohen. I know with Leonard Cohen, poetry came first, music came second, in my opinion. But it was still great to listen to, so I definitely could listen to Leonard Cohen's version of Suzanne before I could the Sandpipers. So, sorry guys, but somebody likes them. It's in good shape, album's in good shape. It didn't have a record sleeve, but the album's in good shape. But I'll bring it down to the record store because it could be something somebody's looking for. The next one here is the Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah Band. It came out in 1976, this album right here. I didn't know what to make of it from the album cover, and I didn't know what to really make of it after I listened to it. It's considered funk soul disco, so that sound was in there. There were good vocalists in there. The songs were good. The musicians sounded good, but it wasn't anything that worked for me. And as soon as you get that disco beat in there, I can take a little bit of that, but when it's overwhelming and you can tell it was written just so people could dance, you lose me. I've never been into dancing. I've always been into music and concerts and watching those. So that's where disco, it just loses me. So the album is in good shape. It has a little bit of tear at the spine, at the top line there. It has the original sleeve, and the album is pretty much unmarked. So if anybody's looking for it, I got a great copy for them. Last one here is Boz Scaggs. I've always heard of Boz Scaggs. Never really checked them out. I gave this one a listen. I just don't get Boz Scaggs. This is Down to Then Left. This came out in 1977, and to me, I don't know what's going on there. It's considered pop, rock, blue-eyed soul. His voice, it irritates me a little bit. It's a little annoying to me. Just his style. I know he was big. I think he still is. I believe Boz is still around, and great. You know, every musician is not for every music fan. Just didn't work for me. So I gave it a shot and just didn't. The hit off of that record was Hard Times. I didn't recognize it. To me, my impression of the whole album, it did have like a disco sound to it with the bass and that typical disco bass line that they use to get people moving. So, well, that's it for today. That's the those records. I have some more coming to get through that entire collection that my brother-in-law gave me. It's been fun either way. I enjoy going through these albums, and it's never a disappointment. It's just fun because you're learning something about music, and you might be talking to somebody at some point and they like music and you go, oh, I remember that album. And you can always find a medium ground, a talking point with people when it comes to music. So that's what I love about it. So the more you know, the better. So that's it for today, guys. I appreciate you listening. Please hit the like button down there at the bottom and subscribe and tell all your friends about me. If you have any comments to bring up, please write them down there, and I'll do my best to get back to every one of you. And you guys take care out there, and I'll see you next time.